Welcome to Jumpstart to Tech, your podcast host, Vinod Akunuri. Thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Vinod Akunuri. I'm the founder and CEO of Jumpstart to Tech. Here I have a special guest, Nigel Hammett. He has a very impressive background as an account executive at Google and his impactful work with Resume Plug and Tycoon Sports. His dedication to empowering individuals and shaping personal brands is truly inspiring. Welcome, Nigel. If you don't mind sharing to my guests about yourself and what do you do, and that would definitely be great.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Nigel Hammett. I'm currently an account executive at Google. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I'm all about helping the next man and woman just level up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely want to go a little bit further. I know I looked a bit in your background as well. In a sense of serial entrepreneur, can you share to our guests, what do you do in Google as a serial entrepreneur, so we get a little bit deeper dive?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Google specifically is like my 9 to 5, and that's where I
Mm-hmm.
do tech sales at.
Mm-hmm.
So that consists of selling AI products, cloud solutions, all software tech to small, medium businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of work, I'm a resume writer. I work in sports and I teach. I teach different college classrooms, whether it's financial literacy, business development. Everything's truly centered around education and then connecting that back to different products and services that I can offer organizations or individuals.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for sharing about yourself. I want to definitely talk to you about your journey from college athlete to a tech executive. How that worked.
Yeah, man. So I actually came into college. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. That's where I'm from and grew up. And I played tennis. I developed a skill for tennis probably late in high school. I was very new to the sport. And so I was good enough to actually to play Division One. So I ended up going to North Carolina A&T where I played Division 1 tennis. And they had a coaching change. It didn't end up working out. Anybody that knows athletics or just anything, that stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that coaching change, I wasn't able to continue. And so I had to get serious about school. I
Mm-hmm.
decided to focus on business, even though I was an engineering student. And that led me to get my first job at Facebook when I graduated a few years later.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think I can beat you in tennis. I tried to play tennis before, and I was horrible. There's an athlete I really like. What's the name? It starts with an F.
Better.
Better. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
heard he's like
solid.
he's like the Messi and LeBron James of tennis and stuff.
Yeah, super solid, man.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I want to definitely talk to my guests. We're gonna talk about today about personal branding and how
Yeah.
to go about personal branding. I really like how you personal brand yourself on your LinkedIn. I think it's definitely one of the most important things. I tell people all the time to get to the level I'm at. My resume, my work experience, it barely contributed to what I did. It was literally about how I branded myself, how I talked to people, and how I interacted with people. So to explain a bit more about that, what is your insights on that? Do you think personal branding is extremely important? How do you go about it?
Yeah, it's definitely everything. Your
Mm-hmm.
brand is always going to be able to speak for you when you're not in the room. It's truly going to be able to hold the keys to locks that you may not be able to see or access, and being able to advocate for you well beyond your reach of network or your physical voice. For me, going from North Carolina A&T, which is a HBCU, to being the first Aggie at my school to actually enter Facebook's business program, it was all networking, and it's not just a one thing. I think a lot of people get mistaken and discouraged when they try and they don't see results.
Yeah.
You have to truly treat it long term, and it doesn't take long. I recommend getting a few digital mentors, staying consistent, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's posting, whether that's going to events,
Mm-hmm.
being able to curate your brand, your image. That way it can be perceived in a way that you want to. Because if you don't brand yourself, somebody else will label you.
Uh, you, hey, I'm putting that as a thumbnail for our video. I really like what you just said. If you don't brand yourself, somebody will label you. Can you explain more about that? I actually really like that. I never heard about it. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you don't brand yourself, somebody will label you. Like, for example, if you go to a realtor's page, it's clear that, okay, this person does real estate or this person does that. And there's a disconnection between who you are and what you do, of course. But if you're not actively portraying who you are and what you do, the world is going to do it for you. And you never want to be in that situation.
Never, never. Yeah, definitely. When you say actively participate, does that mean posting every single day, or what? Or what does branding look like to you? Branding in person, branding through action. So there's a lot of businesses, right, where the CEO doesn't really like to show his face. He's more behind
Yeah.
the scenes, and there's other people who brands themselves. So like brands the CEO. So do you have to be actively branding yourself, or you can like take constant breaks?
Yeah, I think it depends on two things. It depends on a few things. Number one, where you want to go, the obstacles in your way, and some of your goals. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you're already at a good place in your life, you already have a good job, and you don't really care about, I guess, extending it per se, like you're cool, then you may not need to dive deep into a personal brand. But if you're somebody listening that's in college or that dropped out or has taken a course and is looking to break into a new job opportunity, branding is going to be the escalator compared to taking the steps,
Mm-hmm.
which is the traditional route. And so, to directly answer your question, I recommend just any type of consistency, even if it's once a week of posting. It's going to reflect down to your social media. And then, of course, your real life experiences. The reason why a lot of individuals do so well on social media is because they do the same thing in real life. And that way, when people
Ooh,
follow them, it's like, yo, I actually do know this guy. I met him at this
100%.
event. I met him here, and everything's on point. It's a lot of live and real
Yeah.
testimonials.
I really like what you're saying. I just the thing I said that Nigel was like I just had a conversation with my friend. Like there's a difference between painting an illusion for yourself to get some income coming in, right? When they post their Lamborghinis or they post their McLarens or their Rolexes, that actually brings money in. You know what I mean? Because people like to see that lifestyle. They want to live that lifestyle. But then there's people who post that stuff but don't actually live that stuff, but they still make money because they're painting an illusion, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a it's like a ethics, right? Like is this morally correct to do? And then there's stuff like with me, right? Like I travel, so like I call myself a digital nomad, but I do it and then I put it on social media as well. So if anybody would ever come to me, I actually live that life as a digital nomad. So it's like where is that difference between painting that illusion of this false reality and making money than actually living that stuff? Do you think it's morally right to do that?
It can be. I think that there are points and purposes of it. Social media is social media, marketing is marketing.
Uh,
However, what I will say is that when you lead with money, all right, you're gonna attract what a lot of low
uh,
tier individuals that are only influenced by money.
yeah,
So I think it's more important to lead with values, lead with
100%.
character, lead with your story. That way you're attracting people that are authentic, genuine, and actually want to grow. Because it's the short, flashy money doesn't last long.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much. So when did you get into personal branding? Did this start in high school or you've been? I know you got your LinkedIn a really
Yeah, man.
good amount of followers. So when did you start your LinkedIn? Did it was it in high school?
Nah, I started my LinkedIn in college and I saw that not a lot of people were using LinkedIn.
Yes.
And that was, and specifically, there wasn't a lot of men of color using
Yes.
LinkedIn in terms of posting and creating. And I
Mm-hmm.
speak about this actively, talking to the fellas that, we can create, we can get our face on the camera, use our voice, share our ideas, blogs, etc. Most of the creation content space is dominated by women, which makes sense. But there's a fear or lack or a fear of judgment from men, and I saw that. And one thing I know is if everyone's scared, that means it's a lot of opportunity. And so I
Ooh.
started in college and it didn't take long, about a few months of consistency. I'm seeing a lot of hits coming through and a lot of
Yeah.
results.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also same way with my LinkedIn as well. I've been growing it since college as well. I think LinkedIn is a really good platform, but I think I think brands are represented in different ways. Like if you're representing a e-com brand, e-commerce or doing something in clothing, it will best be represented on Instagram, right? Because people are better to you will better find customers on Instagram who will buy your clothes than on LinkedIn. But if you're in the tech space and you're looking to get people jobs and stuff, or like you're doing what you're doing, like mentoring and resume building, your target audience is on LinkedIn. So how can you distinguish what your target audience is for different businesses?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I like to say LinkedIn is the money platform. People are on there either at a job or need a job or coming from a job.
Uh-huh.
You also have a higher ability to access higher individual net worth or more executive people because they're not always on Facebook, Instagram. It's a little more personal to them. Or LinkedIn is a part of their company. They may be in sales or they may be
Uh-huh.
in business. So they're going to be a little bit more likely to respond to a DM on LinkedIn compared to any other platform.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I do want to talk about how has personal branding changed as you move through different phases of your career.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot different, the things that I talk about. Like in college, I'm talking a lot about, school. And now that I've graduated, I talk about life, and then I also reflect. I think the longer that you go, the harder it is to stay as genuine and relevant because a lot of the things that I have going on right now, most people can't relate. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of stuff I have to flashback. I talk about, when I was a kid coming from Baltimore. I talk about how I progressed through college. And so that's why I always tell people to start now. Don't wait until you
Definitely.
become ultra successful because then it's hard for people to relate. A lot of
Uh-huh.
people feel like I gotta make it first, then I can share, but
Mhm.
you can always document the journey.
Yeah, no, definitely. I really like how you said that documenting your journey, whether it's you documented through your resume, documented through your actions, you documented through your LinkedIn. What is the best way to document it? Is it through resume, through LinkedIn? What is the best way to document your work experience?
A combination of everything. A combination of everything. I think that when it comes to documenting, it's all about the platforms that you use. And
Mm-hmm.
so I suggest you just pick 2 to 3,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's YouTube and Instagram, whether that's LinkedIn and Instagram, and you focus there. You build a strong community and you tailor that around real life events.
Mm-hmm.
An example, I'm gonna give something practical. A lot of people don't do this. The next time you go to a conference event or anything educational, you congratulate the speaker, hey man or hey miss, I really love your talk. You mind if we take a quick picture and I shout you out on LinkedIn?
Yes, I do that
Uh,
too.
most people don't,
Yeah.
and the reason why that's so good is because it shows that you're actually learning
Uh,
and you are separating yourself from the hundreds of people that they just met. And that person is more likely to refer you, speak towards your character, just by simply, having some type of action item at the end. It doesn't always have to be a picture. It could be a thank you note. It could be something, but most people don't do that.
100%. I actually do that, Nigel. I'll go to a conference. I'll take a picture of myself and then shout out everybody I met at the conference on my LinkedIn post. And that actually gets engagement because it shows that people actually feel appreciated. As
Yeah.
people, we want to feel appreciated, right? Like we want to feel like people care. If somebody's hosting an event and it's so stressful and they see the next day they say people shouting them out about how that event, I'll make them feel better, you know? So
Mhm.
I definitely want to talk about how has personal branding opened up opportunities for you.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this all day, but maybe I'll just share
Uh,
one. One of my
uh,
coolest things that I got to do in college is
uh-huh.
I got flown out by Magic Johnson and the Lakers to go sit in with him for a weekend. And that was all through personal branding, being able to build my LinkedIn. This was in college. I was able to bring a friend of mine at the time,
Yeah.
and that's just being myself, saying hello, speaking to people, consistently posting. And long story short, we met Mr. Johnson at a conference. He wanted to do a nice deed. He asked the director who should he work with, and then I was the one speaking to her the most, and she saw my LinkedIn all the time, so it was an easy recommendation for her. And then that summer we was in LA for a weekend, kicking it with Magic Johnson. It was super dope.
Yeah, no, definitely. I really like that. Definitely want to talk about have you faced any challenges when it came to personal branding? I
Yeah,
do want to add on to that as well as like when people see, I feel as though you and me are kind of similar in similar ways. Like we don't mind putting ourselves out there, right? We don't mind talking to people, getting to know people and stuff. But there's also people who are always judgmental when you do stuff like that. Oh, why is this guy going and talking to everybody and stuff? So have you ever faced any challenges with that when you try to go talk to somebody and they kind of like push you to the side?
yeah, of course. I mean, to be honest, not a lot of like one-on-one situations, but more mental hurdles. And I think most people can relate to this. We are not conditioned to put ourselves out there. We are not conditioned. I think the younger generation maybe is a bit, but most folks aren't brought up to create content and to stick a tripod or a camera somewhere in public and be unfazed about what people think. I mean, that's high level journalism, professional speaking level skills. So that's a huge hurdle you have to face. Number
Mhm.
two is the aspect of money. A lot of people struggle here. You know, looking somebody in the eyes and charging for your products or services. It is so easy to post. It's easy to do things for free or volunteer, but it becomes a little bit more emotional and difficult when money is involved. And
Mhm.
that's something I had to overcome. Like, man, I got my friends. Like, what if they don't pay me? They're not
Mhm.
supporting, and just moving past that. Some people will like it and some people won't, but you have to keep going.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. I definitely want to add about that. I think the younger generation, they're actually becoming a little bit more open to making content. Like, they see Kai Cenat, they see all these other Mr. Beast and all them. So it's like they're the ones that's watching YouTube. So it's like, I guess, definitely being that person that opens up and definitely speaks on situations as well. I see something by Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. He said a post about, I rather tell the truth than not to tell the truth. Like, I rather get judgment when I tell the truth. He said something that sort of lines. What is your feedback on that? Do you think telling the truth is important, whatever criticism you get?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, to live in your truth, we all have embarrassing moments. We all have things that we're not proud of. I even shared a post on my story. I got interviewed, one of them public interviews, and they asked me, what was the dumbest purchase or thing I did with money in my 20s? And I was honest with them. It was,
Mm.
I ended up like just overextending my lifestyle and was living crazy. But it happened.
It
People around
happened.
me know that it happened. People were wondering about it, but it is what it is, and
As long as long as you're truthful with yourself.
right, but I moved on and
Yeah.
I'm still fine. So a lot of
Yeah.
people have a tough time facing the music and their decisions, and it's hard when you're still in it.
Mhm.
And I get that, but that's a high level of vulnerability and transparency that if you're comfortable can really transcend and take up your brand, especially if you're going through it or on your way out of it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. Definitely, I like what you said about speaking the truth. So I do want to talk about what are some steps that my audience can take right now to build their platforms, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. What are some first steps that they should take?
Yeah, some first steps that they should take. Step number one on a pen and pad, you should write down your goals. Whether it's, hey, I want to get a new job, or hey, I want to grow my following, or hey, I want to be able to develop or grow my business. You got to understand where you're going. Number two, what I want you to do is I want you to create a saved folder on your Instagram or your LinkedIn. And I no longer want you to think in mindset of consumer. We need to shift to creator. So now when you're on these platforms, when you see something you like that inspires you or you feel like you could do it, I want you to save that content. Number three, I want you to
Mm.
set aside content creation days, an hour a week, 2 hours a week. And then you go back on that saved content and then you go do it and you go record it and you go make it. And then number four, you set aside what I do every Sunday. I schedule out all my posts for the week on LinkedIn. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe it's one time a week, two times a week. But if you do those things, steps 1 through 4, consistently for 4 to 6 months, nothing can stop you.
I will actually take you on that as well and do that. Thank you for the advice.
Yeah, man.
I definitely want to talk about content creation. So, I just joined a content creator academy where I'm learning to make better content because I personally don't find it fun, right? Like putting a camera up. It's not really the creation part of it. It's more of the editing part of it. Like it's like you gotta get the edits to look good and stuff. So I definitely talked to somebody that every person has a different way to content creation, right? Like Mr. Beast, right? He has a way where like he has like all these animations. The way anime got all these colors, all these effects, and all like real life stuff. But then there's somebody who's just recording a day in the life and they get millions of views. Like Kai said that. Like when I look at it, like I don't see it as much as edits. I just see more of like day in the life and he just recording it, just uploading it. So every person has a different way to that they make content. What do you have to do? Do you agree with that as well? Like my way of content creation may look different from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. You got to stay and do what makes you feel comfortable. And you got to also see what works. To your point, it doesn't even have to be fancy. Sometimes just holding the camera up, recording your life, and just talking, doing the most simple, basic things are some of the viral content that does the best.
Yeah, no, definitely. I talked with somebody the other day and they told me about you should focus on your personal brand more than your business page. The reason they said that is that if you focus on your personal page, it will automatically get the audience to your business page. Because already building your personal page is already hard as it is. Now imagine putting two, you're building your personal page and your business page. Figure out what content. So focus on one page, build that personal page, and then your audience will automatically transition to your business page and follow your business page. Because I think a lot of people get stuck when they're trying to have a business page and a personal page, trying to post on both platforms at once, but then it just doesn't work out because it's like your audience wants to see your personal page, wants to see what you're doing with your life, and then they'll transition to your business page. What do you have to say about that?
I agree. I think in the beginning, especially if you are constructed for time, you really don't even need a business page in the beginning until you start making money, until you start like, don't worry about all of that. I feel like people worry so much about the business setup, and that's important, of course, but just get some money, get some results first, and then you
Mm.
do that later.
100%. Especially with me, I had to secure all my handles for Jumpstart to Tech. Especially because when you have a business and you have a name, you want to make sure that you secure your account handles, even if you don't post on it. I think that's one of the advice that I learned was like just making sure that you build your personal page, and then as you get the audience, it definitely transitions to your business page. So I definitely want to talk about your professional image when building your personal brand. We talk a lot about reputation. 48 laws of power. One of the laws is so much demands on reputation. What does reputation mean to you? I've seen people's reputation get destroyed. I've seen people's reputation actually was really well. They got inclined. So what does reputation mean to you?
Yeah, I think it just means being a stand-up individual. I don't
Mm,
think it means being perfect. I think it's just being authentic, just doing good business, being a good friend, being a good communicator, but also admitting that you make mistakes, being a person,
mm,
and being somebody that makes a difference. Like, yo, I don't know too much about that boy Nigel, but I know he write resumes, and
yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah. No, definitely. I definitely want to add on to that because there's people who also lie about other individuals, and that actually can affect their reputation. And there's people who don't lie about other individuals. So I want to dive deeper into reputation because I think that's something that needs to be discussed because I've seen a lot of Google reviews for companies. Where there's like 50 to 60 reviews about why you shouldn't work with this company or why this should have happened. How can that really affect your personal brand? Those
It
those
can,
reviews
it
really
can.
matter.
Yeah, it can if you're having a pile of negative reviews, and there's probably some truth there.
Yeah.
But you have to address them. Like for a business standpoint, the company should be in the comments saying, "Hey, like, I'm sorry you had this experience. We fixed this, or we've addressed this. Don't just ignore it." But for most people that's probably listening, when it comes to reputation, it's just about doing what you say. Showing up and getting those results. And in the beginning, it's kind of easy. I'm not going to lie. Like if you're a
Mm.
good person, you do good business, you'll be fine. But eventually, you're going to make a mistake, or eventually, you're going to have a dissatisfied customer, and that's just levels to the game. That's just like basketball. There's no, like you're going to have a bad game. You're going to have a game where the shots aren't going in, and so a true professional comes back the next day, fixes it, practice,
Mm.
addresses it in the media, and moves forward.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you're definitely saying is that if companies are getting these reviews, they should at least reach out to the people. But then there's
Reach,
also there's also sorry, go ahead.
yeah, reach out publicly and privately.
Yeah, I know. I do want to talk about. There's also where also people would just hate on the company or they just hate on the individual. Are you supposed to address that as well? If somebody, or you just ignore stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like clearly spam, just ignore it. Like at the
Mm,
end of the day, and let the results speak for themselves. If
yeah,
that mean, like sometimes a lot of this is a controversy topic, but like I think you could use the hate comments for inspiration or for feedback.
yeah,
Because especially if it's a little bit true, like let's say I got an ice cream business and they say, man, the ice cream cones suck. Okay, bet. Let me make them better.
yeah,
Right. And so when it comes to actually innovating and iterating on your process, but if you got Joey 202 saying you suck, man, under your page, man, I'm not
yeah,
it's a spam page. We're not even
yeah.
addressing it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think the reason I said that, Nigel, is that people they they feel as though that hate is like they take it they're too emotional, right? They take that stuff and they really don't know how to like go about it. It ruins their day, right? They think about it all day, like, hey, this man said this person said this. I really think about whether it's hate or whatever it's criticism. Actually read what is said, and if it's actually some truth to it, address it instead of feeling though like, oh yeah, they're just trying to like come at you crazy. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to do that, but you eventually you'll get there.
yeah, I definitely want to talk about I definitely want to talk about, is there any metrics or feedback you look for when you post? Is there some sort of analytics that you look for when you post?
Yeah, I think results. The first thing I learned when I went to Facebook out of college, the first thing that they taught us was that likes don't matter. They literally don't matter. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's cool to get 1,000 likes on your page, and they were just like, well, you can have 1,000 likes and zero conversions, so you're just
Mm.
posting. So I'd rather take 20 likes and three conversions for a $200 product,
Mhm.
and shifting your mindset from likes, views, and vanity metrics
Mhm.
to lead generation. How many people are signing up on your email, to conversions? How many sales meetings are you getting? And then, of course, those conversion purchases. How many people are paying you? And then when you start looking at social media like that, you don't even care if you get 10 likes, because you might get 10 likes and two people buy your package.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think how the game is looking like for especially Instagram that I noticed. Um Now a lot of posts are going ghost, right? Like before the early time used to be easier to like upload a picture and like get the likes or get people to buy a product. Now it's like you gotta go above and beyond. You gotta post this new Rolex on your story and then post about your business afterwards. So people look at that Rolex, they think you got money, and now they want to buy your business. So it's like what do you do in situations like that? I think Instagram is definitely, they pick and choose, right? Whose content to show, and maybe if I'm wrong, you let me know. Like
Yeah.
they pick and choose whose content they want to show, whose content they don't. Am I right or wrong?
It's an algorithm, and the algorithm is forever changing. No one has mastered the algorithm. There's some folks that do well at it, but here's the thing, man. Instagram is free. They don't owe nobody anything. Of course, this you got data, da da da, da, but it's free to post. It's free. It's free. It's free. It's free. And so you have to leverage that, and that goes back to personal branding. And
Mm-hmm.
so when it comes, you can't control that. That's why I say you have to study. A lot of people don't study content. Really take 20 minutes to look and see the posts that are going viral or the posts that are getting a lot of results. What are they doing? And then you start making those tweaks in your own videos, and you start studying your own content. And so that's really going to be the difference maker. And then, of course, like I said, translate it back to business. We don't care if the post gets 500 likes, da 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 da. You got to be consistent. And once you find something that works, you have to double down on it, right? If you try enough things, it's like throwing paint on the wall. Something's going to stick, and then you got to keep doing that same motion or something similar. Like you see, most of the people who blow up or go viral, they usually do the same type of
Thing
trend.
over
They,
and
if they,
over and over
yeah, if
again.
it's like a funny video, if they're wearing a dress or they're doing interviews, they'll just keep doing it, and then their page grows rapidly.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because there's people who like repost the same video. They don't, but they're not posting every single day, but they'll repost like once every 3 months. I'll be like, hey, like this is this, or they'll post that same video again in like 2 months, and it goes viral again and again and again. It's something weird, but it's the truth, you know. Like people want to see stuff. If something is going viral, figure out what's going viral and figure out how to make it go viral over and over and over again. So I definitely want to talk about how you gained your followers from zero to I think 20,000 now. That has to be a process to that as well. Because that's really good following, you know, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't even get that much following. So what how did that progression go? Did you get 20,000 1 year? Like how did all that progress?
Nah, man, it came through just me being active on the platform, and then also showing up in real life.
Uh
I go to events. If I go speak and it's 100, 200 people there,
oh yeah.
they all connect with me. And then, like I said, when I first started on LinkedIn, there wasn't as many like creators specifically that look
Mm-hmm.
like me. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of college students and college graduates were following along for my journey because it's really similar. I was big in the HBCU community.
Mm.
I mean, I'm from Maryland. Like I do a lot of work internationally in the Caribbean and the motherland in Africa. So all the things that I do attract different pools of people. And then
Mm.
over time, through LinkedIn, through posting, every time I post, I get more followers. Every time I comment, it's another thing. You don't always have to post. If you're too shy to post, get in the conversation. Go comment on somebody else's post. So I'm commenting, I'm in the conversation, and then in real life, I'm actively making connections. It started off in college. I think I had like 5,000. I didn't probably hit 10,000 until after college, and then each year just grows by a few thousand. You know?
Yeah. No, definitely. We definitely talk. I want to talk about how social media can also be a detriment to your health as well. We talk
Yeah.
about how people are glued on their phones, or people are always looking at engagement. It can affect me too. Like when you're always just scrolling on LinkedIn, see who's that next person that like to post. It happens, right? Like who's
Yep.
that person that commented? What do you have to say about that? Should it be a set time where you're just on LinkedIn, a set time to just like decompress? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard, man. I've definitely felt a victim to this too, man. It can mess with your sleep. It can mess with a lot of things. There'll probably be some studies in the next 10 to 20 years in terms of the impact. I would say recognize that it's hard. So if that's happening to you, it happens to me, it happens to you, it happens to everybody.
Mm.
Number two, one cool thing, if it gets really bad, I'll put limits. If you go on your settings and you go app
Yeah.
security, I do limits. Hey, 1 hour, 2 hours, and just focus on posting, right? Focus on posting and studying and posting. And then, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that. I do want to talk about how important is networking. We talked about conferences. We talked about how important is networking. Is networking really important? People don't value networking because they don't see the results right away. Like you, right? You met somebody at a conference. You float to Magic Johnson with the Lakers and all that good stuff. But that probably wasn't a 1 day thing. You had to connect with her, build a relationship. That's same thing with me. Like stuff I did was like I had to build relationships with people, get to know people for who they are, and then as time progressed, I've seen opportunities. So people look at network as like a long term investment, right? You talk to somebody, they want to see results right away. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, just be genuine, like, and you don't always have to meet everybody. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I say it's better to go deep than it is to go far. Like, if I'm at an event, it's 200 people, sometimes I don't have the energy to meet 50 people. I may say, hey, I'm just going to meet five, but build a really solid relationship with them. And then, I'm not even looking to get anything. Really, if you approach the dynamic of being willing to give, hey, I'm a resume writer, or I'm this, I'm that,
Mm.
this is where I am, this is where I live, here's how I can contribute, you'll go really far. And then that's the powerful thing about posting and personal branding. It's speaking for me and keeping those contact points still there without me having to physically text and call somebody. People feel like they know me or what I got going on that I may have never met before. That's just based off the link. And that's good. That's how I want them to feel, because if it's time for them to buy something or recommend, they're going to feel comfortable. Like, yo, I've been following Nigel for 2 years. Like, tap
Yeah.
in with him.
So, may I ask you, how many hours are you putting outside of Google just on personal branding? Are
Man, my
you
life is my life. Everything I
everything?
do is my life is a personal brand. Like, I go to the gym, that's personal branding. When I do event, everything, man, my entire life.
So, what does personal branding? What is a good definition of personal branding to you? If
The
you could have
a
your own
definition of
definition.
person, yeah. My definition of personal branding is improving your image and perception socially, in person, and doing the inner work spiritually, right?
Yeah.
Because what you do in the dark will come to light.
Mm-hmm. What you do in the dark will come to light. Yeah, you got some good quotes. I really
Yeah,
like what you say. Yeah, I definitely think that's important. Personal branding is everything you do, right? Like, you go to the grocery store, you help somebody who needs help with their groceries. Technically, a personal branding because it shows the character you are. You're a helping person. So, I definitely want to talk about a few more things. I definitely want to talk about a turning point in your career that highlighted about personal branding. Like there has to. So you started. So you went to Google. You were working your 9 to 5. You do your resume building. You got Tycoon Sports. So is there a shift in that where it's like that one pinpoint where it's like, okay, now I got to really focus on personal branding to the top tier.
I think for me, some of the biggest moments were my first speaking event in college. That was like a big milestone.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started posting actively on LinkedIn. And the biggest indication of networking, this is a big one that you can really check yourself here if you're a college student. This is a question I ask myself and a lot of college students is, okay, cool. Is there anybody that you're actively speaking with, actively communicating with, actively networking with that is not at your college and you did not grow up with or know
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
college? Right? And so most people then when they think about that, it's like, okay, well, most people I talk to is at my school, and the other people that I know at other schools, I kind of knew them before college,
Yeah.
and that shows that there's nothing wrong. But for me, that started to flip where I'm communicating with people in different states, different countries, and at a high level on a like a week to week basis. And so my brand and my name is going well beyond my campus in school, which is a big campus in school,
Yeah.
but it's going well beyond past that. And that's a really good indication. So that was a big shift when I started seeing that for myself.
Yeah, I do want to add on to that. People don't see personal branding just yet, right? Like even now, like people don't see the value of LinkedIn, but I see the value of LinkedIn. Like, yeah, this is opportunity zone for me. People just think a resume will get your foot in the door. Do you think a resume will get a foot in your door, or you need to have a personal brand behind it? There are some people, right? Like let's like people who work for the government, right? They don't have a LinkedIn, but their resume got them that job they wanted. Do they still need to build a personal brand, or they can just live that hidden life, that alias life?
I think it depends. There's certain industries where it's maybe not as prevalent, but having a personal brand will help you. Like I said, it's the escalators to steps, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do want to ask a few more questions. So you brought up four good points about content creation and like how does your brain process when it comes to making sure you have set days for content creation? What are some advice do you have for somebody like for me like I have set days for content creation, but then I also have content pillars like discussing what topics to discuss. But then that also changes because days change, life is always changing, so I may have to post something else for the day. How do you know what to post on every day? Like, do you have a certain way you go about it?
For me, no, 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 no. I just for LinkedIn, I just we
Do
just
what's
get it up.
genuine. Yeah.
Yeah, we just get it up. I mean, for Instagram, sometimes maybe there'll be like campaigns, and that's definitely the next level for myself. But what I'll say to content creation, man, the biggest mistake, and this is with anything, like I'll even use the example of writing a college essay or
Mhm.
working on some work. The
Mhm.
issue is that most people are trying to create and critique at the same time, and that
Mm.
you just get stuck. You ever just go to write a school paper and you're 3 hours in and you only got three paragraphs or
Yeah.
three sentences? That's because you are trying to create and critique. You write 3 words and then you're like, I don't know about those words. You write one sentence and then you delete it. And so, what I want to encourage people to do is when you're creating, don't critique, don't make any edits, just go. Right, just go, 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 go. And then when you critique, you're critiquing what you've already
Already
edited and
done.
finished.
Yes. I know a lot of people they create but they're scared to post, right? They create what is your advice about that?
I mean, that's real. That's real. We have to acknowledge the reality in that. Sometimes it's hard to be vulnerable. Sometimes it's hard to showcase a side of yourself that you may not feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, you got to remember people are just swiping on social media. They
Yeah.
probably won't even remember it. So that always helps me out.
Uh-huh.
And that's why it's important to follow those digital mentors and make it normal to showcase aspects of yourself when you see other people doing it. If you
Mhm.
feel like it's just you, it takes
Mhm.
a lot. But if you see you got a whole community, even if you don't have to know these people,
Mhm.
if you just have a community of other folks doing it as well, it's easier to do it. Environment is key.
Yeah, no, I definitely I think that's the biggest thing is that people feel as though like they have a post, right? But they hold on to that post. They don't know when to promote it. So just want to ask about what are some experiences like in your job searching or promotional opportunities? Did you feel as though having your LinkedIn base really help with that? Like when it came to promotion opportunities at Google and stuff? Does Google like your coworkers do they follow you on LinkedIn as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That is difficult sometimes, it's a side that most people won't talk about. you will be judged for it, for good and bad,
Uh-huh.
So that's just something you have to keep in mind. The more visible that you are, the more you open yourself up to criticism and praise.
Yeah. No, definitely. Thank you so much. So, as we getting close to our conversation, I do want to definitely ask two more questions. So, what do you say for my audience right now that wants to build a platform but starts off with zero subscribers and now they're feeling those so hard to build. They look at other people who got billions of followers, or they probably even look at you and be like, "Hey, you got 20,000 followers. Oh, I can't get to that level." What do you have to say? Because all of this takes time. I understand what you did, and all that took time to get to those 20,000 followers. It wasn't easy. So, what do you have to say? People who started from ground zero and working their way up.
Yeah, I would tell those people just have fun with it. You're starting from the bottom. The only place that you can go is up.
Yeah.
Understanding that we cannot compare somebody's chapter 18 to your
Uh-huh.
chapter one. Understand that these same individuals also started at zero.
Yeah.
Understanding that, hey, now you maybe have an advantage because you've seen more, but also understand that you probably will be in your own way. So just remove yourself from your own way and just go have fun with it. Post as much as you can. You'll learn a lot in the process, and then you'll be able to help the next individual. And then lastly, I'll say this, when it comes to numbers and vanity metrics, most people will be extremely overwhelmed if
Uh-huh.
they had 50 people, 100 people in their face right now congratulating them. They wouldn't
Yeah.
know what to do, right?
Or
So
or
just
50, 50 clients reaching out to them, and they're only one person that's doing the work. They feel overwhelmed. So taking it as a process.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. No. Definitely. Want to talk about what trends do you see in shaping personal branding the next few years? I know we got AI coming out, and what are some applications and softwares that people can use for to make content?
Yeah, CapCut's a big one. Opus AI to
I use
create.
Opus AI.
Nice. Opus AI is a good one. In terms of trends, I think that's going to keep going the way that it's going. A lot of user generated content. I think advertising will be really ran through influencers and
Mm-hmm.
individuals with personal brands. So the people with the biggest personal brands are going to be the people that are paid the most. But
Yeah.
it's about having a personal brand is cool, but I always caution people: you still want to be able to provide some type of service or product. Just having a big following is not enough because what happens if you see with TikTok, the day they just remove something.
Yeah.
So it's important to actually have some substance or business, or even be an affiliate for a business behind it.
Thank you so much. My last final question is, what's the best advice you've got in personal branding, and what's the worst advice you got in personal branding?
The worst advice, no one has given it to me, but I see other people taking it, is that you need to wait until you become successful in order to share. That's
Uh-huh.
horrible advice. And
Uh-huh.
we covered that earlier. Most people can't relate to billionaires, millionaires, and most people can't even relate to six figures.
Yeah.
The national average is way below that, and so that's just horrible advice. Start now. That way you can build up just that a level of sincerity amongst your audience. And I think the best advice that I got is, and they're gonna hate you or love you at the same time. So do what you gotta do and live your life and just post it. Just do it.
Yeah, nah, thank you so much, Nigel. Everybody, I'm gonna put his info in the bio by his
Amen.
resume and what he does as well. Thank you guys for tuning in on to the podcast. Thank you, Nigel, for hopping on and sharing about personal branding.
Amen. All a pleasure. Appreciate it. Let's get it.